In this video, I'll be walking through how to create tests that use dynamic values. So either generating dynamic values or asserting against dynamic values. So let's get started by creating a test here. And we're going to call this registration test because we'll be testing the registration workflow of this website. And I'll click begin recording to get started. So on this site, to get to the registration page, we're just going to click on sign in and then create a new account. And to record these actions, we'll first just record ourselves creating an account using an email that we know has not been used before. So we'll say test user, and we'll say test12345@example.com and enter in a password and click sign up. So I will also add a text validation here just to validate that the correct name is displayed on the top right. So this would be clicking on add a text validation and then clicking and dragging over test u. Let me try that again here. So grab test u, there we go. And now if I were to save this test, this would actually fail. And the reason why is because the test12345 user already exists in the database for this application. So what we need to do is make that email address be unique so that every time the test runs, it's going to register as a new user. So let's click on the details for step 11, which is where the email is entered. And under execute action, there's this section input text, which we can modify to make unique. So we can highlight, for example, the numbers here and choose replace with function. And this will show us a list of functions supported in Reflect that allows us to generate randomized data. So, or dynamic data rather. So we could go with something like alpha, which generates random letters. Alpha num is random letters and characters. This is a date which it defaults to the current date, but you could always say it's maybe a week ahead of time. What I'm going to go with is just num, which is a random set of numbers rather, and I'll choose 10 digits for the number. So this will effectively be unique every time the test runs. So now that I've generated the random input, the second thing I want to do is assign the input we've generated to a variable so we can reference it later. So I'm going to click assign variable here and we'll say, give us a good name, maybe random email. The reason I wanted to assign it to a variable is because the last part of this test is just going to be me going to the account details section and verifying some things about this newly created account. So I'd like to verify, for example, that the email is correct and maybe verify that the first name and last name are correct. So in this example, the first name and last name are going to be static, but the email is dynamic. So again, if I were to say, it should match test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this step would fail because it's going to be dynamically generated. So we need to go to the details here and mark that this is going to be basically the same value of the variable that we've generated. So we're going to highlight this and say match to existing variable and then choose the variable we want to match to. So here we're going to choose random email, which is the variable we created in the previous step. All right, so now we have a test that creates a new account, navigates to the new account page, creates a new account using a random email, and then asserts that the random email, as well as the first name and last name that we enter statically, is correct. So let's go ahead and save and run this. So this test is now running, and we can watch it run live. I'll click watch live here. And you can see that it's just entered a random email address. And we're going to now go to the account section and do those validations. So this test is now passing. So this example is for registration, but this could apply to other types of scenarios. It's quite common to have scenarios where if you need to enter a unique value. So this could be some list of records in your application where the record name needs to be dynamic or something like that. This approach I just demonstrated it is a really good way of handling that type of situation. So thanks for watching and happy testing.